Good morning and welcome. This is Sunrise Daily. Today is August the 11th, just in case you forget. And it's 26 degrees here in Lagos. I'm Ayo Makinde. Welcome to the program.
Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I am Kayla Megwa. Look, Ayo, it's been a wonderful few days in the nation's capital. The sun came out. We're happy that the sun came out and we're able to dry clothes. You understand how serious it is? And then all that dampness, But, we're going to navigate it. Hopefully, we enter into this August break. And Ayo, we had quite a weekend starting from Friday. Remember, we had our guest in the studio here where we're talking about the musician, Mr. Kwamwan. And of course, taking a look at what happened then. Remember, our guest on Friday said he should apologize. And we saw that apology on Friday. Now, it's also divided the polity in many ways. Some people say, and I was listening to Jeffrey this morning, and I do have to say that I'm siding with Jeffrey on this one. Maybe you can give me what your thoughts are eventually. I'm siding with Jeffrey on this one. Jeffrey said he should be grateful that it's a 6-month suspension he was given. If it was me or you that did that, we'd be in jail. They'll be trying us for terrorism and whatnot, So all of that happened on Friday. And then, of course, Ayo, we also heard the sad news of the passing of Mr. Audu Ogbe. And of course, that brought a lot of memories for people who were around at the time when he was heading the People's Democratic Party and his political life and what he stood for. That also happened over the weekend. And then, of course, it was a weekend of weddings as well. So much happened. But then it was also a weekend where we had to question the freedom of the press. We saw that story from Ebonyi State. I think they talked about it on the morning brief, although we're trying to get more details on that. But then, Ayo, 5 journalists were killed in Gaza over the weekend as well. And these Al Jazeera journalists. And it was just such a sad reminder of the perils that come with the work that we do as journalists. And, may their souls rest in peace. And Al Jazeera has been mourning. Everyone has been really talking about this as well. So it was a very interesting weekend, a mix of good news, some bad news. But hey, it's Monday morning. And Ayo, let's begin. What do we have for the people this morning?
The one that kind of ticks me a bit is the issues that concern legality or otherwise of certain actions. That's all over the place. I mean, you said it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I always say life is not a journey. Life is an adventure. And adventures have the natural characteristic of unpredictability. Maybe that is what we are encountering. Well, I guess this morning, let's begin, first of all, with something really, really huge, something that a good number of people have been celebrating over time, the fact that Nigeria is now kind of becoming increasingly self-sustaining in a specific aspect of life. I would like to provide you some insight into the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, exploring their contributions to national security, local manufacturing and defense innovation, and a whole load of stuff like that. Major General Babatunde Ibrahim Alaya joins us this morning. He's the Director General, Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria. He joins us virtually. Good morning Good morning, General.
Good morning, Ayo, and good morning, Kayla. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's good to have you, General. Maybe a good way to start would be, how does it feel? I mean, you've been in the industry for long enough to know, in your profession for long enough to know that for a very long time, Nigeria was not self-dependent or self-sufficient in the area of providing itself its own defense mechanisms. How does it feel? How long did it take us to get here? And what, in your opinion, has changed?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
That's why they say after 15 minutes.
Please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, we can hear you.
The Director General, Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria. As we all know, Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria, DICON for short, was established by an Act of Parliament in 1964. And it was established to form the cornerstone of the defense production and to support the armed forces and security agencies in their security and defense requirements. DICON was able to support the Nigerian armed forces effectively during the Nigerian Civil War. However, after the Civil War, everything went down the drain. And there are some major factors that are responsible for that. The first, the Nigerian armed forces were using a rifle called Francis National La. And that one, up to now, has a massive machinery equipment for the production of that particular weapon. And this was the weapon that the armed forces of Nigeria was using before, throughout the Civil War and immediately after. However, due to strategic decision, the Nigerian armed forces switched from the FN La rifle to AK-47. And there was no deliberate attempt to set and establish the production line for AK-47 in Nigeria. So from the moment we switched to the use of AK-47, DICOM was incapable of producing the rifle because the strategic leader did not make deliberate attempt to establish the production line, unlike when we were using the FN La. So that's how the production of rifles in Nigeria was killed. And then also we are producing a number of other items such as grenade, ammunition, and so on. However, due to low patronage, maybe as a result of long years of peace and so on, they were not producing. Then when the security challenges of terrorist bandits and others came, Nigeria was confronted with these challenges. All the production lines were not producing. So the armed forces and the security agencies had to resort to importation. However, we want to appreciate the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for signing the DICOM Act 2023. The DICOM Act has changed the dynamics of defense production. The DICOM Act has empowered DICOM to go into partnership with local and international players, stakeholders in the defense and security industry. Now, what we are doing, we are not waiting for government money to set up production line. We are not waiting for government money to procure equipment. What we are doing, we are going to partnership with industry, with industry players that have money, with contractors that have made money supplying the armed forces and the security agencies. We are encouraging them, we are inviting them to form joint venture companies with us. They bring their money, and then we go into specific field, and then we start joint production. So if the government brings in money, it's just in addition. We have a number of companies that have a partner with us. We have companies like D7G. We have a joint venture company that will be producing ammunition, weapons, and other categories of defense and security equipment. We have other companies like Imperium that are producing personal protective equipment. We have other companies like Proforce, we have CSI, we have Roving Guard that currently they have paid for the ammunition production line, automated ammunition production line, which is better than the current one we have in DICOM. And in 1 year, the production machines will be installed and will be producing. Like for example, for D7G, by December, we're expecting part of their automated ammunition production line to come in. And we are hoping that by second quarter of next year, we should be able to satisfy at least a minimum 80% of ammunition requirements of the armed forces of Nigeria and other security agencies. At least 90% we should be able to cater for. I even have excess capacity to export outside Nigeria. So these are the steps we are taking. There are other stakeholders that we have partnered with. We have partnered with about 32 defense companies and contractors who are bringing their money to establish production line in Nigeria. We have SP Offshore, we have Vinicius, we have Gray Insignia, we have Buckler, and so on, so many. So we are not waiting for government money, we are partnering and we are moving forward. Thank you.
Good thing that to hear these, not just the things that you're saying, but the passion with which you're saying it, you know, it's communicable, if I can use the term. But let me cite the example of just one of these partnerships that you've talked about. You've talked about this joint venture with SP Offshore. We understand it's something in the region of $2 billion, and I think you mentioned that earlier. Now, this venture is being described as transformative, you know, towards a military-industrial complex. So the question then is, how do you manage technology transfer, General? How do you ensure sustainable operational capacity and a cultivated pipeline of local investors beyond just infrastructure investment?
Okay. So what we are doing, we are establishing systems, not based on individuals. We are laying out systems with our partners. You have mentioned the SP offshores. So the way joint venture works, they bring in their money. We go into specific field. For example, we are going to be producing ammunition with SP offshore. We are going to be producing ammunition with D7G. We are going to be producing ammunition with Roving Guard. We are going to be producing ammunition with CSI. We are going to be producing AK-103 with D7G in the next 2 months. We are expecting, we have completely knocked down parts from different countries, about 10,000. So we bring them to Nigeria, to DICOM, and we assemble them as our own DG103. And we market within Nigeria and export excess capacity outside. So it's not just the infrastructure. We are training human capital development. We are sending some of our personnel to different countries, China, Turkey, to go and learn the technology. So we are not inviting just the original equipment manufacturer to bring the machine and just to come and install. We are training technical hand. We are building human capital resource, and we are leveraging on the technology that is already available outside there. We are not reinventing the wheel because it will be difficult to reinvent the wheel. So we are bringing the technology and we are domesticating their use and production. And in all this partnership, DICOM will be fully in charge, either it's ammunition production, weapon production, or equipment production. DICOM will be fully in charge. DICOM will control, will be responsible for security of the premises, will be part of the production, will be responsible for the production, will be the only one to market and sell under the guidance and directive of the Honorable Minister of Defense and Honorable Minister of Defense, State for Defense. So we will be in full control of whatever we are doing with our partners.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, General, these are ambitious timelines. I mean, you would agree with me. And but when you talk about self-sufficiency by 2027, you've been quoted as saying that mass production in 4 months, advanced technology within a year. What happens to public trust, General, if 2 years from now these timelines slip? And because there's always this issue that could happen that you probably didn't foresee. What happens? What's your own personal accountability plan in that regard?
Okay, see, we are not playing around. You must understand we are not waiting for government money. We have investors who have money. In fact, 3 days ago, an investor called me that he had 50 billion naira to invest in drone technology. These are business people who are bringing their money. And if they bring their money, we are not playing around. For example, I said in 4 months, we're expecting some automated ammunition production line. It's coming. I said we are expecting 10,000 completely knocked down parts of weapons that we're going to start producing weapons. Already we have gotten the end user certificate for these items. They are coming. So we are not playing around. We are very serious. In fact, we should have started this 5 years ago. In fact, we are moving very late. So for me, I'm fast and quick, and my partners know this, and we are moving around the world to make sure we get the best for Nigeria so that in 1 year time, for ammunition, we should be self-sustaining. Especially for some caliber of ammunition, at least 80% we should be self-sustaining. In weapons, we have about 4 companies that we are going to be producing weapons with. We have D7G, we have the Nigerian Machine Tool Oshogbo that will be producing NSV anti-aircraft gun. We have gone far with their partners from other countries. We are just waiting for some of the parts and equipment to start arriving. So we are moving very fast and we are very confident. Thank you.
I mean, I'm taking a look at some of the things that have been happening. General, you've been very busy. You've been very busy for the past few weeks and months, and commendable in many ways. I'm seeing Vinicius is even helping you, partnering with you to do security hardware. And of course, we've been talking about the deal with SP Offshore. You also have a $2 billion local weapons production deal. So that sufficiency when it comes to weapons in our country, it's something that you're really passionate about. But I want to be able to take you up on security. And the reason why I brought it up was because of this deal with Vinicius. Many people have been talking about our borders and the technology that is necessary for our borders, so that we don't have a situation where terrorists are moving willy-nilly and doing whatever they want to do, moving from one state to the other, or even from outside of the country into our country. And the question about the security of our borders and what kind of technology is being employed in those places has been coming up. And I want you to speak to that. Is that some of what these deals are going to cover, security at our borders, whether internal borders or the borders we have with other countries?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kayla. Vinicius is one of our strong partners. In fact, I have a meeting with them tomorrow so that we can sit down and actually strategize on how we move forward on the border security and others. We also have other joint venture partners that we are already talking about border security. In fact, as we are talking, we are expecting some equipment from outside, from 2 different countries for border security from the 2 of our partners. So we are working on that. It's a work in progress, and we'll see how far we can take it. We are talking about using a mesh system for border security. We are talking about using laser and different systems. So these are discussions that are already going on, and we are assuring Nigeria that in the nearest future time that we will make progress on how to secure, monitor, and our border areas, especially considering the vast expanse of land that constitute our border. So we are doing something about that too.
I mean, I wish you gave me a particular timeline because we've been hearing it before. Oh, in the nearest future, soon, in time. But we want to be able to see that something is being done, especially about our borders immediately. Is that something is that something you can assure us of?
It will be difficult to give you a timeline.
A year, 2 years.
Look, it depends on what technology we are bringing on board. It depends on what kind of patronage we get from government and security agencies. But we are bringing, the equipment are coming, different equipment. Some are like drone technology, some are laser technology, some are mesh technology. Different equipment are coming. We are going to unveil this equipment. I do not be led to the strategic leaders to decide what to do with this equipment. But we are bringing the equipment. We are not playing around. And very soon, just like we are hearing the story of different achievements so far, when we do that, we assure you.
And finally, before I toss you back to Ayo, I see that you've relaunched Daikon Salt. You talk to us a bit about that.
Thank you very much. Daikon Salt was one of the biggest investments for Daikon in the past. In fact, Daikon Salt was the biggest and the largest distributor and supplier of Daikon, of salt in Nigeria, even to other African countries. Daikon Salt introduced the first iodized salt in Nigeria. Unfortunately, about 21 years ago, we went out of production. When I took over, General T.Y. Danjuma interacted with me and he mandated us to restart and commence production of the Daikon salt. Together with the directors and board management and the very active Mrs. Florence, the acting general manager of Daikon salt. We worked very hard, and today we are very proud to say Daikon salt is back in the market, and we will only go bigger. We are making arrangements to even expand production. So we are very happy that after 21 years, we're able to bring Daikon salt back to the market, and we are moving forward. Thank you.
Well, General, I have to agree with Kayla that, you've been busy. And again, your passion is communicable. But what we would like to see is sustainability. You also talked about the fact that for many years we were down there and you were very, very disappointed. And everyone was. The fact that we have to depend on other parts of the world who could decide not to sell to us. I mean, we saw that experience in time past. Now, General, Israel turned its own defense innovation into a global tech export business. South Africa's Dele thrived, then along the line collapsed due to corruption and mismanagement. Now, which trajectory, in your opinion, is DICON more likely to follow? You have talked about the building systems and all of those things. So what direction are we to look forward to, and why should Nigerians believe you, General?
Like I said, we are building system. We are following our own trajectory. We are not following anybody, but we want to ensure that the armed forces of Nigeria and security forces, that we could cater for their defense and security equipment need. Now, how do we go about that? What I call the working principle that we are adopting. And we are encouraging the strategic leaders to work with us and encourage us. The working principle one is that if there's any equipment, weapons, ammunition that could be produced locally, that the DICON and its partner should have the first right of patronage. If we are producing ammunition, there's no reason why anybody should import ammunition, anybody should give contract out to import ammunition again. We will produce and market at cheaper rates at faster period than anybody can bring from outside Nigeria. Then second working principle is any equipment that could not be produced by us and our joint venture partners, we can bring in at a completely knocked down or semi-knockdown. The meaning is that we don't need to bring finished products into Nigeria. We buy parts and bring to Nigeria, and then we provide employment for our people by employing them to build the system, the parts and components that we have bought from outside, they build them. Where the expertise and the technology and the machinery are not available for us to produce completely, then we can bring from outside. However, we are hoping that by 2040, we should be producing everything, because we want to domesticate everything we are buying, everything we are using. We want to domesticate the production. We are tired of importation. We are tired of procurement from outside. We want to do this locally. So and the system we are placing...
Yes. My apologies, General. Yes. And that is the reason that one of the things that I think can also help that is the question I asked earlier about technology transfer. I mean, you've spoken about the fact that, okay, you are bringing in world-class this, world-class that, amazing partnerships that you're having. So, and the question, one of the challenges Nigerians have had in time past is that we have these amazing ideas. We have these wonderful technologies and all, but we don't have the world-class personnel. In some cases, we have world-class personnel, we don't have world-class equipment. Now, you are bringing in world-class equipment, world-class factories, but what's the plan for capacity development? Because it will be foolhardy of us, I'm sure you would agree, if we don't have world-class Nigerian engineers to run them. So what is the actual headcount that you are targeting before 2027?
Okay, yeah, the plan we have now for every equipment we are bringing, we are sending our people for training. For example, for the automated ammunition production, and I said it will be coming in December, we are sending 10 people to Turkey to learn on the job. They will be part of the production. They will be part of the processes. So when they are coming back to Nigeria, they have the experience. So we are not just bringing the machines. And then the original equipment manufacturer is going to attach some of their technical experts to us for a period before, once we are very conversant and comfortable with the production, then they can go. However, you know, there is what I call the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord to every original equipment manufacturer will be maintained, because there is need for sustainability. It's not just to bring in installed, and then you are not talking with the original equipment manufacturer again. We will maintain the umbilical cord for every equipment, every machinery we are bringing with the original equipment manufacturer in terms of technical support, in addition to the people we have trained, and then in terms of even raw material sourcing. Because from experience, we have realized that it's not every raw material we can domesticate the sourcing. So there are some that we still have to get from the original equipment manufacturer. So we maintain this line, and with the plan we are very confident that is what the systems we are building, the system we are establishing will be sustainable systems, even if we are not on board again. Thank you.
General, there are so many other issues to raise with you. Well, let me get your promise or your commitment. No, I don't know if I should use the military language to you that you are mandated to join us again in another 2 weeks. I don't know if I have that authority. Thank you so much, General, for your time this morning. Major General Babatunde Ibrahim Alaya, Director General, Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria. We appreciate your time this morning with us.
Thank you. My last word, the President and Commander-in-Chief has signed the presidential executive order on Nigeria first. So we encourage everybody, please patronize our products, patronize our joint venture partners so that we can make progress. Thank you very much.
I will also be expecting you to place commercials on Channels Television to foster that. Thank you so much for your time.
We have to speak about a lot of the things that have been happening in our country. A lot of trending issues, things that have made us worry, things that have made us question our values as a people. And then, of course, the question about where we are going as a nation. And joining us for this conversation is legal practitioner and political activist, Mr. Dele Farotimi, joins us. Thank you very much for being with us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Let's start off with, where do we even begin? Let's start off with our political landscape, because it's so much. There's talk about former President Goodluck Jonathan coming, in fact, some general overseer in the papers, this I think was the National Enquirer, that said that he's predicting that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan will be back in Aso Rock. What do you make of that? Should he enter this? Many people have said he should stay out of it. Some people are saying he might be the person that they need to be able to cleanse power from the APC. What do you think? Should he stay out of this?
1,000 Goodluck Ebele Jonathan cannot solve the problems of Nigeria. They might very well go ahead and increase his brain power by a factor of 1,000 for good measure. If we do not address our structural problems and if we are incapable of telling ourselves the basic truths that we hold to ourselves, then nothing is going to change. They can recycle all these people as many times as they care. This was the same Goodluck Ebele Jonathan that was horribly vilified, labeled. The press went into overdrive in this country, the pulpits and the mosques everywhere. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's removal will solve the problems of Nigeria. And then here we are. We're going back into the past to dig up the past. That was how we dug up the one that just expired. I don't believe that our problems are going to be resolved because we change personnel. The problems we have in Nigeria goes beyond persons. If you removed Bola Ahmed Tinubu from office today, if you do not touch that evil system that produces the kind of people who have ruined this country and that has consistently assured that we've remained Lilliputians when we are giants. All this talk about Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is just more distraction from the political ruining crabs. We're not looking for saviors of Voltrons. It's about building systems, enduring systems, building a country. How do you rebrand the failure of 2015 into a saint and a savior in 2025? How? 10 years, we've gone full cycle, and we are back at a situation where we are saying that we were better off where we were in 2015. So maybe Buhari might as well have done all of us a favor. Maybe he shouldn't have waited 10 years, because I'm sorry. And this is not about me discounting his humanity, because we are now saying that we should go back 10 years. To do what? Exactly what? So I'm sorry, I'm not enthused with all this talk about persons. We should focus on the system. How do we ensure that we're able to produce people who care about Nigerians, people who would ensure that Nigerians are brought out of virtuous servitude in which we are all living miserably. We should talk about real issues.
Well, Mr. Farotimi, I don't want to lose that thought process. When you say our systems need a change, how is that supposed to happen? There are a few people who've been speaking up recently. Professor Farotimi recently said, you know, that it's our political elite that is the problem. They have to lead the charge when it comes to doing the right thing. Another activist had said, you know, that our political class have to commit class suicide for us to see any kind of change in our systems. What do you think is the way to fix a system that you've described as broken? How do you fix broken systems?
From as far back as when I've been in the public space and I've been asked questions related to the one you just asked, I've made it abundantly clear. You cannot depend on those who have ruined this country for a salvation, even though in the history of every part of the world, it has always taken members of the oppressive ruining class to lift the people out of the mess. You talk about the political class. The unfortunate reality is that Nigeria is not possessed of a political class. Political suggests people who are resolved to meet the challenges of nationhood, of development by consensus. There are no consensuses amongst those you will call elites in Nigeria because they are actually not elite. To be elite, you need to be thinking beyond your lifetime. To be political, you need to be building consensuses. You don't have a political class. We have a class that is completely focused on existential issues, how to steal, not about nation building. So if anything is going to change, it is the people who have to look in their mirrors for the savior of Nigeria. It's going to be that the victims of Nigeria found sufficient basis to coalesce around the ideas of change. If you're looking to the political class, history should tell you that you won't get anything positive out of them. Nothing positive. Is always about prebenda considerations, what is in need for them as a collective. Look at what we just talked about now. They want to bring good luck at Dele Jonathan because it is the safe option for them. It is not about what is in need for the people. If we're talking about change in 2027, what does it mean in education? What does it mean for security? What does it mean for agriculture? What does it mean in telecoms? What does it mean about the structure of the country? You have 37 states effectively if you take this judiciary position properly. You have 36 states, one federal territory, 774 local governments. They are sat in Abuja thinking of into this. Nobody is coming out to talk about how the cost of governance has assured that the people have been ignored. No developmental strides are being made. They are talking about good luck in Dele Jonathan. There were valid reasons 10 years ago to ask that it be removed. But people did not ask themselves, what does it mean to change this? So they focused on change and they were sold a dot. So now we're back here again, 10 years later, realization has hit that APC is running us for us. And we are thinking that it's all about changing names and then bringing somebody. I would be more interested in knowing exactly what it is that Mr. Goodluck might bring this time around that is different from what he was doing. That each and every one of the persons, largely in the media, almost every critical voice in this country, all of whom are falling silent today, called for his removal. So what has changed?
All right, let me take you up on something else in the news. I want you to get your thoughts on a one-term presidency. We've heard from different quarters, different corners of this country. And it was Mr. Peter Obi who said it. Look, I'm going to do just one term. He believes you can change Nigeria in one term. Someone said that's something you tell to a woman when you're with her in the house. Someone else said, I can sell you a bridge if you believe something like that. What are your thoughts on on that one-term president? Is he realistic? Is he a realistic statement to make?
Well, let's be clear about this. I heard this one-term presidency thing from Peter Obi during the 2023 election cycle. That was the first time I heard him say this. So it's not as if he was saying something I hadn't heard before. But I think we need to be interrogating issues beyond declarations. A man says he's going to spend One time. Okay, one time to do what? I think we should actually be asking that question. If I have a vision that can be contained within my lifetime, then it's not a vision, it's just an ambition. If it's a vision, I will need my children's children to complete that task. So if a man says, I'm going to take only one time and I'm leaving, I am more interested in asking the question, what are your plans? What would you do with the one term? If I ever run for the presidency of Nigeria, I don't require more than 2 years to do everything that I need to do. And that's the extent of my own belief in the fact that you don't need a long time to achieve lasting change. But the question to be asked is, what does he intend to do with the one term? I think that's the question that we should be asking. I'm not focused on if the person is either the man is believable or is not believable. So I'm not focused on how long he has said he wishes to serve. I would be more interested in what do you intend to do with that time. That's what interests me, not the time. Obasanjo had 8 years. What did he do with it? Buhari had 8 years. What did he do with it? He ruined Nigeria. Tinubu has had 2 years. He's taking us back like 50 years. So it's not really about how much time the person spends. It's a function of what are they doing with the time that they have.
Ills. There's well, one thing that's going on right now, and I don't know if we have those visuals to put up right now. It's there's a protest going on, and I want to be able to get exactly how many, because there's so many of them. The Nigerian Union of Pensioners, representing various agencies, NITEL, MTEL, FRCN, FMW, Nigerian Railway Corporation, they are protesting unpaid entitlements up to 35 months pension arrears, non-payment of the 35,000 Naira palliative and the 32,000 Naira pension increment. So we have people who have worked for this country, and we saw it with the police not too long ago. We keep seeing these stories going on across the country. I want you to be able to speak to that, and maybe in your analysis, maybe you can talk to us about this situation we're seeing with the NYSC. This young lady had criticized President Bola Ahmed, yes, had criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And people feel like, well, she feels like she's being bullied. Many people are speaking up in support of her. We're even seeing former Vice President Atiku Abubakar speaking up about this situation. But NYSC has clarified that she missed a clearance. She missed a particular clearance in April, and she's not the only one. About over 100 of them that missed that particular clearance exercise, and that's the reason why, you know, their certificates have been withheld, and they've extended their time in service for 2 more months. What do you make of that situation?
Have you noticed that I have a grin?
Yes, I have.
Edged on my face.
Yes.
You see, Yorubas have this proverb. They say, "Tiya obati kari ki to bon." Until suffering is democratized, it is rarely ever rejected. The ruiners of Nigeria have done a fantastic job of feathering their own nest by plucking the feathers of the Nigerian victims. Without anesthesia of any sort, they just keep plucking the feathers, and they've used it to feather their own nest. So if the Nigerian people are now universally groaning, for someone like me who is completely convinced that only a revolution will save Nigeria, I'm extremely happy. Because what they are doing is that they are helping me to recruit the foot soldiers for the revolution that must change this country. Now, let's deal with something. You're talking about pensioners. Go to Ekiti State. Some people have retired for over 15 years. They've received nothing. Not a dime. These ones are talking about 30-something months. Let me explain, my dear sister. What has happened to us is that we have been functionally enslaved by a system that is not designed to deliver any value to the people. It's meant to create value and deliver value, extract value from the people and deliver it to the rulers of Nigeria. So it is very easy for that system to ensure that our president has the latest yacht in town, his jet, even when it doesn't need replacement, gets replaced. He has assured that governors travel all over the world, spending monies in excess of what is spent on universal basic primary education. So it's not a system that works for the people. And the more the system illustrates how it has become alienated from the people, the happier somebody like me is, because it helps me to drive home the message I constantly try to get to the people, that regardless of whether you are Yoruba, Igbo, Fulani, Igbo, Ijo, whatever you get to be, the rulers of Nigeria don't care. You only exist to be extracted from. But when they get to that level, they don't care where you are from, because they are one. So if it takes this suffering to awaken the people to the reality of their situation, I'm happy. Because what you are describing, those are episodes. You're looking at a man with load as cue on his head without paying attention to the crookedness of his legs. Those are merely episodes. It's all over the Federation. Everybody is crying. It's just about who they give a mic and who is able to articulate his pain. Now, to come to the case of Rai, the system is always going to find ways to punish those who would hear to say something different from what it wants to hear. What is Rai do? She drew attention to the fact that they are not even paying them what should be sufficient to transport paupers from one point to the other. If they are paying their father's right, would they pay the children those kind of allowances when the system itself knows by its own calculation that these monies are not enough? This girl drew attention to this, and what has the system done? Coalesce to ensure that no other pauper will dare to do something like that in future. That is what has happened, and they will find all manners of excuses to justify what has been done.
You know, Mr. Farotimi,
it is all about ensuring.
My sincere apologies for butting in. My sincere apologies. Each time I hear you speak, one thing that I see, I hear, you're talking about the system. And it's not today. I was an active broadcast journalist in the 90s, following the botched Third Republic. I saw what civil society organizations did. I saw the time when Nigerians left home. They weren't sure whether or not they were going to come back that particular day. And it happened for 6 years or so, between 1993 and 1999, when we returned to the Fourth Republic. But there is a question that I've been asking on this program every opportunity I have, and that's the Nigerian vision. Some people believe that Nigeria's vision is embedded in our national anthem or in our national pledge. So, first of all, do you agree with them? Or do you think there is a need for us to sit around the table and agree what the Nigerian vision is? That every politician, irrespective of political party or political leaning, irrespective of 1 term or 5 years or 2 terms or 4 years, must align with. Do you think it is time for us to get there, or you think things are going to continue without this rudder that we need to abide by?
Thank you very much. You know, this is probably like the 3rd or 4th time that we'll be speaking, myself and you. And the one thing you would concede is that I have never failed to speak to the system governing this country. The reality is that we don't have any national vision. I think it's in Habakkuk, I think chapter 2, verse 1 and 2, or something like that. Those of you who are Christians, that you understand it. But it says that a vision is for an appointed time. Though it tarries, wait for it. It says write it down, make it plain, that those who read it may run with it. In typical nation building, you reduce your national vision to the anthem and then the pledges. A man came into office and he demonstrated his capacity to get the National Assembly to do whatever he cares, and he was done within 72 hours, I believe. He changed the national anthem back to the old national anthem. That shows you what is possible when a man is determined to achieve. So if Bola Ahmed Tinubu had wanted to achieve an overarching vision, he could have gone to the same National Assembly and gotten them to fall behind it. Obasanjo could have pretty much done the same thing until he went off on his third-term tangent. The key thing I'm explaining is this. When you have a vision, it constrains your spending. If you are building a house, you will rather buy a bag of cement than a bottle of brandy because your priorities will change. We're a country that has zero vision. That is why perversion has crept in. Our ruiners have no big ideas behind which to harness the capacities, the immense capacities of Nigerians. We will conceive roads. It would already be outdated before they move to site. Not only, no, it's not in terms of the budget, it's in terms of the stealing that attended the planning. So instead of building something that would belong in the new age, at least based on the kind of budget, you build something that doesn't even fit the day. That is a function of the absence of vision. You're building a railway. The railway to Ibadan will take me over 2 hours or thereabout to get to Ibadan. If I enter the train, no, they're almost 3 hours to get to Ibadan. That's probably the distance from London to Reading, which will take less than 30 minutes. But we built it at great cost. This country is in debt today. The person principally responsible for building that is crowing that he will end corruption in Nigeria if he becomes president. So, my brother, we have no national vision. That is why perversion has taken over our land. The word provision comes from provision for vision. We have no vision. It's perversion governing Nigeria, perversion of the worst order.
Mr. Farotimi, we have to have a replay, or what they call a second half of this conversation, because a number of issues you raised, for instance, you talked about the state governments. It would seem to me like every time we are raising issues about the federal government of Nigeria. We don't seem to be giving
the entire system
to the states.
No, it's not. No, it's the entire
I'm pretty sure that we'll come to it some other time. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mr. Farotimi. Mr. Dele Farotimi is a legal practitioner and political activist. We thank you so much for your time. And that's the show this morning. Thank you again for the privilege of being a part of your Monday morning, the start of a brand new week. Amaya Makinde, enjoy the rest of your week.
Go ahead, and just so we can be specific, it was Habakkuk 2:2. Write it down. So maybe this week, whatever visions you have, write it down, and let's have a wonderful week together. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you soon.